So with all of the press that Sydney Sweeney has been doing, I guess everyone missed what exactly she was promoting. She was doing all of these interviews recently for her new movie, Christy, which is a biopic of a female boxer named Christy Martin, based on the true story of her life. And it's what I would call certified art slop. It's an activist movie. It's really highlighting the aspect of domestic violence, survivorship. And the movie debuted in theaters this weekend and performed horribly. So now the left wants to take credit for the underperformance of this movie by claiming that they are boycotting it. I had to call BS on that because I think it would have bombed regardless.
This movie was going to bomb either way.
Christy opened to 1.3 million at the domestic box office. It is now marked top 10 worst opening weekend ever for a film in over 2,000 theaters. Made an average of $646 per theater. And it is true, it's in the leaderboard for worst opening weekends of all time.
I do have the list that we put together, that somebody put here together with the list of, these are all, from what I can tell, theaters, all of these cross the 2,000 theater threshold. So they use that as like a editing factor here.
Yes.
You have to take out these 2020 re-releases and these 10th anniversary re-releases. It doesn't count. At this point now, they just re-release movies in there as they get closer to $1 billion. They just re-release them every so often. But
so if you discount the specific IMAX screenings of Dune Part 1, if you discount the 10th anniversary release of Saw and the 2020 re-release of Toy Story, Christy sits at, I believe, number 9 for worst box office opening weekend of all time, excluding the pandemic. And now it's being reported by certain biased outlets, such as Discussing Film, that the Christy biopic is being overshadowed by Sydney Sweeney's recent controversies in the media. They said, while she is the heart of Christy, she remains the elephant in the room when it comes to many discussions surrounding the project. Off screen, she is riddled with controversy, especially following the American Eagle ad.
There are no discussions around the project, so they're wrong about that. There are discussions around her. There are no discussions about Christy.
As they put it, swept up in a larger culture war in which Donald Trump even weighed in, claiming her as a Republican sex symbol. It might be difficult to sit down and watch an entire film with Sweeney at its center without a bitter taste in one's mouth. This is intellectually dishonest.
The Smashing Machine had The Rock in it, who's supposedly still the biggest movie star of all time, Flopalopolis. Also, I saw somebody else. Yes, the Bruce Springsteen movie. I thought everybody loved these biopics. Now, no, nobody cares.
Right.
These types of movies don't do it. It's everyone tells me they want new stuff. People don't want new stuff. They want slop. They want regurgitated sequel slop. That's what people want. That's why Predator Badlands did halfway decent, I guess, this weekend. Because it's slop based off like a property that already exists.
I pointed out that it's primarily because nobody knows or cares about this lesbian boxer from the 90s. And biopics in general are underperforming, and there's a huge oversaturation of them. And I noted that Sydney Sweeney's biggest and perhaps only real box office success in her career was Anyone But You with Glenn Powell, a rom-com whose primary audience was female. And we would like to see more of that from Sydney Sweeney in the future and less of this prestige drama, activist, art slop
It's
genre.
at odds with her personality.
Yeah, I mean, I would say she relies more on her brand deals and her own star power than her movies to remain relevant and to get a paycheck. So I think that it's very intentional on her part that she chooses projects that tend not to perform well because she believes in them. I believe she's also a producer on Christy, so she put her own weight behind the movie, and she recently shared a statement on Instagram about the box office criticism. She said, "I'm so deeply proud of this movie, proud of the film David made, proud of the story we told, proud to represent someone as strong and resilient as Christy Martin. This experience has been one of the greatest honors of my life. The film stands for survival, courage, and hope. Through our campaigns, we've helped raise awareness for so many affected by domestic violence. We all signed on to this film with the belief that Christy's story could save lives. Thank you to everyone who saw, felt, and believed and will believe in this story for years to come. If Christy gave even one woman the courage to take her first step towards safety, then we will have succeeded. So yes, I'm proud. Why? Because we don't always just make art for numbers. We make it for impact. And Christy has been one of the most impactful projects of my life. Thank you, Christy. I love you.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with that. First of all, I don't know. I guess you could say that this is award show slop and that it's supposed to win awards. But they don't make movies, at least the people who greenlight these projects and actually give you the money don't make movies to help people. They make movies because supposedly helping people can be good publicity to hopefully make them more money. That's not a bad thing. That's just the way these industries work, is that you aren't always going to make your money back necessarily at the box office, but goodwill from audiences can go a long way. But that doesn't mean that they're out there. Maybe the actors are out there to supposedly help other people, but pessimistic me says that's not really true at all either. I would say most of them are out there to raise their own public profile. But then you have to have the discussion is like, do intentions matter? In that case, most people would say no. The amount of people they help is what matters, not necessarily whether the actor cared a lot or not.
Well, in fact, making an impact is not at odds with making a profit. In fact, you kind of need both in order to make an impact. Literally in the absolute numbers of people who pay to see your movie and are impacted by the story, you need to have something that's commercially successful in order to make an impact on a large audience.
Correct.
She's kind of saying that they never intended to make money off of this movie, and it was known that it would be a loss from the beginning.
Well, then it should have just went straight to streaming.
Yeah, I don't know what the
she's
purpose
at odds
of
with
releasing it theatrically would be in that case. And, you know, I guess we should mention, of course, that the US box office has had its worst October this year in 27 years, excluding the pandemic. So it's not just because of Sydney Sweeney, it's not just because of biopics or all these other factors. It is just generally true that people are going to the theaters less.
You should watch my video of that on this channel.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with the economy. But, you know, you can point to other examples of similar movies that did perform better. Challengers is one you reminded me of off air before we started the show, starring Zendaya. I didn't see it, but it was made on I believe a $55 million budget and made a total of $96 million worldwide. Christy, on the other hand, was made with an estimated $30 to $40 million budget and has now made $1.3 million on its opening weekend, which is objectively bad.
It's terrible.
Again, Sydney Sweeney doesn't seem to care about being in commercially successful films. So if this is the trade-off that she wants to make, that's fine. That also includes, from just this year, Eden, which nobody watched, cared about, or talked about. And then Americana, which was an ensemble cast that also did terribly at the box office. Her only box office success so far has been Anyone But You. And they said they released it in theaters so that it would make more of an impact culturally.
Well, that's what they did Anyone But You in the theaters for. Glenn Powell seems to be on the same path, at least as far as choosing projects that aren't Marvel movies, but he seems to be a lot more discerning about which way he goes with his projects. He's got The Running Man coming out, which will probably do okay at the box office.
Well, Anyone But You probably did good because there was rumors that they were dating, right?
That also, the showmance played into the hype for it. And some of the Sydney Sweeney haters in my replies were saying that Glenn Powell was the draw for the rom-com. Would you agree with that, Brett? Or
I mean, his that was in 2023,
Yes.
so that was coming right off of Top Gun Maverick, which was the year before. So his profile had been raised at that point. He also did Hitman at that time, which I really, really liked, but that doesn't really connect to this, other than that being a good movie. And he's, you know, and then he went from there to Twisters. His track record is objectively better.
Right.
As far as successes.
And some other people also blamed the underperformance of Christy on the fact that Sydney Sweeney underwent this physical transformation for the role. And they think that if she looked hotter, basically, in the movie, that it would have done better. Which is probably true.
Probably
but it
true.
wouldn't be true to the story that they were telling. Brittany Hugaboom pointed out most of Sydney Sweeney's acting roles aren't bombshell girl. That's her red carpet persona. She acts because she loves the craft. Financially, she's much more effective in ad campaigns than she is as a name that can bring ticket goers to the theaters, especially since last month was an all-time low for cinema. It's like when no one cared that Taylor Swift was in The Giver, but it certainly doesn't mean she can't sell out tours. We don't have a movie star generation like millennials did, watching Tom Cruise and Angelina Jolie. The last traditional celebrities are probably Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, and the Disney era. The celebrity generation has been replaced by the influencer generation, and YouTube gets more watch time than streaming platforms.
Well, I do think she is a bombshell girl, and that's what she needs to lean into when she takes those roles. You know?
I think that she wants to make money off of her own name rather than her projects at the moment. And she's hoping that in the decades to come, people will look back through her body of work and respect that she was more dedicated to telling impactful stories than making money. She clearly cares about going into more of a production role in the future rather than just acting with her production company. So I believe this is all part of her 5D chess plan for her career. She definitely is the type to have like a vision board and a PowerPoint presentation on hand.
I mean, that's at odds with her public persona, though, which doesn't endear her to the people that she wants to go watch these movies, because she's not making these movies for people on the right. She's making these movies for letterboxed users and art house nerds who are objectively not all, a majority of which I would assume are very much left-leaning.
I would love to know what movies she likes and where she draws inspiration from, because she could be a closeted letterboxed account.
Wasn't she supposed to do what was that movie with Pamela Anderson? Barbarella? What was that one movie? She was going to make one of those ones that was supposed to lean into
Oh, I heard reports about that, but maybe that didn't end up panning out.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's funnier if it is, because they said she's not making, like, MAGA people didn't show up to her movie, and she clearly doesn't care. She's making the movies, she's subsidizing her work with her off-screen persona. Glenn Powell is definitely on the better track. Somebody did mention Devotion. Devotion, from what I understand, was a really good movie. I did not see it, but people really, really liked that movie, but it did not make a lot of money because it came out in 2022.
It does sound like it is in development, Barbarella.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
With Sydney Sweeney.
Okay.
Maybe
Well, there you
that'll
go.
be her second box office hit then.
You know, or if she takes that Bond girl role that they were talking about, because she's
Possibly,
been
if
cozying up
that's
to
in the works for Bezos. Yeah. Variety, by the way, is getting slammed for their reporting on Christie's flop at the box office. They said Christy, featuring Sydney Sweeney as the boxing trailblazer, Christy Martin debuted with 1.3 million. The R-rated sports drama is the first theatrical release from Black Bear Pictures. No editorializing, no taste-making, nothing in that headline says anything about the underperformance of the movie or why that happened. But they compared it with the report about Sinners from back in April. Variety said, Sinners has amassed 61 million in its global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Brothers release has a $90 million price tag before global marketing expenses, so profitability remains a ways away.
There was definitely
time,
a lot of backlash around that.
Yeah, Variety was getting dragged back in April for writing that headline because I guess people thought it was racist and holding Sinners to a double standard because it comes from a black filmmaker.
And funnily enough, I addressed this in my video today about the difference between an influencer and an actor, and I brought up Michael B. Jordan, who takes, you know, his cues from Denzel Washington, who said spend less time on social media because they're going to be more likely to go see your movies if they see less of you online.
Well, maybe Sydney Sweeney is pioneering a new hybrid between an influencer and an actor.
My point was that men and women have to approach it differently.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Meaning the men in Hollywood should step back from social media and the women shouldn't?
I mean, when it comes to leading men, there, you know, an air of mystery is good.
I would say that's true of all of them, really.
My point was that women have an easier time in monetizing social media.
True.
So,
True.
just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.